situating yourself there, Rainland, I do just want to comment as well, kind of to your last point that you made. Honestly, I've been hosting live streams and spaces and AMAs now for about 4 or 5 years. And the one that we held with you guys literally was one of the best performing ones that I've ever had. But not only from a number perspective, from a vibe perspective, you guys are spectacular. It was just so much fun. So just wanted to send some flowers your way and some gratitude here. So appreciate it.
Thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. And I noticed that it was, the second that you started speaking, I just started off with the recording. So it's a perfect introduction. I appreciate you, Trav. Thank you very much. Now, for everyone here, welcome. We are joined here with Tectum. So welcome to another Telegram Classic AMA. Couldn't be more excited. Something that you guys know I've already been talking about before we even got Trev and Dimitri here. So yeah, super excited to be hosting this one. And once again, just to do a little bit of a reminder, a rundown on the session that we had last week where, of course, Trev and Dimitri hosted us. It was absolutely phenomenal. The hype was there. As Trev mentioned, the numbers were there. And just, the discussion in general, it was not something, that is scripted. It was something that truly meant a lot to me as well. So absolutely phenomenal hosting. And as I did mention earlier, we're going to do our very best to try to replicate the vibes, the hosting, absolutely everything that has to do with today's session. So, to get this started, just a little bit of introduction here. For those of you that do not know, and I'm sure that this is something the majority already know, but if there, let's say, any new participants or maybe that you got a chance to join our Telegram or just our socials in general after the first sale. So this is actually our second time that we're working with the Tectum team. So we actually hosted them for their fair launch of their first token. So TET, the one that is already live. Well, it has been live for quite a while here. Something that, again, I'm sure that the majority of you already know here, but something that I do think makes perfect sense for us to also include in our introduction here. So super excited to be hosting their second sale for the second token, obviously talking about TCT here. So a little bit of an intro on what you guys are going to be getting the information on, what you're going to be learning here today. That is, if you, of course, didn't have a chance to already check out what you're all about on the sale link, the socials, documents, everything that they have ready for you. So you're going to be learning first and foremost about Tectum as the world's fastest blockchain. Then we're going to be continuing regarding some useful information for your Softnote. Then, of course, something that goes hand in hand with the Softnote, obviously their Softnote wallet app. And then we're going to continue with the bread and butter. So the token side of things, well, actually, I should say tokens side of things, right? So we're going to be talking about, obviously, the first token, TET, how it's going to be differing from the second one, obviously TCT. And that's going to be the main topics of discussion here today, considering, as we did have a chance to mention, that your sale is going to be starting tomorrow. So on GemPad at 1 p.m. UTC, as always, you have the link to the sale on the AMA announcement, which we did put in our main chat once again. And of course, if you're going to have any additional follow-up questions, do make sure to join your Telegram. You can, of course, find all the relevant links on the AMA announcement here as well. So enough of me rambling on and on. Once again, Trav and Dimitri, it is an absolute pleasure. I have been so excited for us to be having this discussion today. It is a pleasure. Truly appreciate your time here today. And if you don't mind, before we actually continue with some topics of discussion and whatnot, and later on community questions, if you don't mind just introducing yourself, so a little bit of background information about the both of you, and then feel free, if you don't mind, to just do a little bit of introduction about Tectum, right? So let's say key aspects that you would like the community to know, something that you feel is of importance, kind of like a pitch, right? So feel free to do so. And then after that, we're going to be kind of guiding the conversation just so we can cover the majority of the ground, but all the wonderful, amazing products that you have available on the market, and of course, some upcoming ones as well. It is a pleasure. And passing over the microphone to you. Floor is all yours. Welcome.
Excellent. Welcome. Thank you for such a warm introduction there, Rainlands. Absolute pleasure to be here once again. So guys, my name is Trav. I've been in crypto since 2019, 2020. I've been hosting AMAs and doing heavy deep dives and research in crypto since about 2020. And just absolutely falling in love with the space. I'm actually from a healthcare background, so it took a major pivot career-wise back around 2021, decided to go all in on Web3 just because two main things, rather, and this is a great segue into Tectum. Number one, it attracts some of the most spectacular people in the world. Anyone who holds decentralization as a core value is somebody I want to be around. And number two, the opportunity to work in a field that I'm very passionate about is really, it's exciting and it's a privilege here. So over to Tectum. From my perspective, at one point I want to share, and sorry if I'm stealing your pitch here, Dimitri, But Tectum is essentially wanting to bring crypto to the streets. And what really attracted me to this project when Alex actually got me on board way back when is the fact that their primary goal is to fulfill Satoshi Nakamoto's vision for Bitcoin, is to make it so that it can actually be used as a currency, as a form of like actual liquidity that can be used for day-to-day transactions by anyone. Doesn't matter what your socioeconomic status is, doesn't matter where you live. And that's exactly what Tectum is trying to do. And to be able to have some sort of impact on that, to where we're solving real world problems like people in Africa who have to wait days to be able to access their funds from their banks, paying astronomical fees, having their local currency diminish in value by 10% in the same day, being able to provide them with instant and feeless access to Bitcoin to be able to use instead of their local currency is an absolute privilege and is actually changing lives here. So I'll leave it at that. Dimitri, it's all yours.
Yeah, absolutely on point, Trav. Hey guys, my name is Dmitry, and I'm a head of content at Tectum, as well as part of the partnerships team. And as Trav has described pretty well, Tectum's mission is to bring crypto to the streets. Because when we first developed a blockchain, we realized that it is, in fact, one of the fastest blockchains. But then the second question arose. What is it for? What's the speed for? We realized that the speed is all about convenience. It's all about scalability, right? And this is why we started developing products directly aimed at those scalability and convenience, such as the EPOS, electronic point of sale terminal that we have recently launched just on your mobile, as well as a plethora of other products that we are currently developing, including the ability to make offline payments, offline crypto payments, which is important. With a new technology called CodePay. So those are the ideas that are basically driving our technology forward. And you see, while we were developing those technologies, we realized that having one token is practically not enough, because TED, the initial token, has only been used as a gas fee. But meanwhile, while introducing the likes of EPOS, for example, right, we realized that we can introduce the scheme of revenue sharing. So basically, each EPOS transaction takes exactly 1% on the total value, and from that 1%, 20% goes back to the holders of the new TCT token. So this is one of the initiatives that we launched. We realized that the Tectum's mission is to get directly involved within the community. Yes, we did call new token the TCT Tectum Cash Token. However, some people prefer to call the Tectum Community Token, which I guess is more fair in that case. And as well as the TCT second token, it also allows people to participate in the developing DAO and DeFi system, as opposed to holding tokens as only if you're a whale, and only in that case you have a vote. With a new DAO system, it is basically all inclusive and pretty open for everyone. Back to you, host.
Perfect. Thank you very much. Now, I did just want to say, I think that you absolutely did do wonderfully with just, touching upon the facts on why this was needed. Of course, the vision, the mission, absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much for that. And it's also something that I think you also did a great job of just starting it off. Just if we're going to be doing this, dissecting it by, let's say, product by product, you did absolutely fantastic. Because if we just start talking about, and I think that this is something we can just go ahead and skip, considering we said we're going to be starting it off with, Tectum as the world's fastest blockchain. What you did here is just mentioning it very simply, as opposed to, let's say, if there were community members that would be interested in, let's say a follow-up question, but how come you've decided to, for instance, develop and roll out your very own blockchain, as opposed to, let's say, to build your products on a, let's say, very already established one that's already up and running? I think you did phenomenally with just saying scalability and convenience, which, makes perfect sense. So thank you very much for that. Definitely something that I think makes perfect sense for us to start off the session with. Now, if you don't mind, just if I can kind of take the wheel with just, continue with some topics of discussion, so we can, of course, cover the majority of the ground. So if we move on, considering all the products, something that I think I already mentioned in the intro, all the products, all the utilities that you have, already available, up and running, as well as upcoming ones, everything just fits in the ecosystem perfectly, and that is something that I truly like to see. So throughout that, as we were already talking about, Tectum as a blockchain here, well, the world's fastest blockchain, something that, it does make perfect sense why it's heavily advertised like that, because, it is the truth, something that, I can just give you guys props for it. Now, if we continue the discussion with the soft note, right? So just a little bit of, let's say, my personal feedback on this regarding specifically stats, right? So we did already establish that something that has been up and running for quite a while already. A lot of users, a lot of merchants already use this. What I very much appreciate is the fact this is something that, of course, for anyone interested can also find on Tectum's website here. If you just want to do some, let's say, research or maybe some added information that you would like to learn here. What I truly appreciate is the fact that you have quite a lot of stats here regarding the product as well. So I think that it's 4 or 5 of those. But what I remember from my research is the fact that you have, I think, Softnote bills minted. You also have total liquidity in Softnote system, which, it's something that just provides even more clarity on how amazing the product actually is and how many participants, how many users, merchants actually use it to their advantage, which is, perfect at the end of the day. So for us to continue the discussion here, if you don't mind, something that I also remember from doing my research is that users are essentially faced with, offered, I'm going to say, zero fee spending, which, again, quite an incentive, I would say. So props to you once again. I'm probably going to give you props like 10 or 20 times here, but yeah, just goes to show the credibility behind the team here. And what I was specifically wondering for, let's say, merchants, right, if you don't mind, considering that what was the main, let's say, obstacle you wanted to kind of solve with you doing so is, of course, merchants being faced with, as far as cryptocurrency entering the retail market. In this case would be, both high cost as well as, speed being non-existent in this case, right? So what I would like to know, considering we already talked about the fact that users are faced with zero fee spending, is specifically regarding the merchants, right? Considering this is something you can also, kind of, let's say, go throughout the stats, something that a lot of participants are already using. I'm just curious to know regarding the fee percentage for the merchants. Let's say if I am a retailer, I would like to integrate this with my everyday business. What are the fees in, let's say, percentages? I guess it makes perfect sense here for me to be faced with. And in addition to that, I assume that they are, close to nothing, considering you would like to basically just remove that obstacle. And in addition to that, I'm also wondering with this fee, if this is something that is fixed or if it just, let's say, depends from retailer to retailer, right? Sorry for a long one. I'm truly interested in this.
Yes,
go ahead, Jimmy.
Yes, thanks so much, Trav. Yeah, absolutely, I can explain. So let's say you're a retailer somewhere in, I don't know, India or Nigeria, USA, whatever, doesn't matter. So realistically, the most usual fees are around 2 or 3%. That's for the most, Visa, MasterCards, other POS systems, as well as on top of that 2 or 3%, you're also more likely to pay the legacy hardware prices, right? That will range from, I don't know, like $100 to $500 monthly every single time you make the transaction. So with our system, all you're paying is the 1% withdrawal fee. This is it. So the customer, he's not paying anything, and you only pay whenever you withdraw that money. So it's only that 1%. From that 1%, as I said, the 20% goes back to the TC holders. So I say that obviously, it may not seem like a huge difference, right, between the traditional 2% and the 1% that we offer. However, if, for example, your monthly turnover, right? So just in case we have a calculator on our website. So let's say your monthly turnover, right? So you're making like $5,000 a month, which is not much, but it's respectable. So from $5,000 a month, you'll be saving $50 monthly or $600 every year just in that 1% difference. So, and that's only on $5,000. If it's like $50,000, it will be like $500 a month or $6,000 a year. So that 1% difference may not see like a lot on the paper, but in reality, it's real money. It's something you are saving and something that you can invest into your merchant network or something like this. It's I say, in my opinion, it's a no-brainer to use our EPOS app just for the sake of simplicity, not just the fees, but simplicity. You can install an EPOS app on an Android device, and later on it will also be available on the Apple devices. So it is very simple. You don't need to pay for hardware. The fees are lower, and I don't really see why you should not use it.
And if I could jump in here real quick, just to kind of add a point to what you just mentioned, or just not even a new point, just something to highlight what you're saying there, Dimitri, is two things. First thing is, when we're talking about the legacy hardware, is that the actual technical hardware, which is software, is available to anyone right now. If you go to the Softnote wallet, you can use I believe it's still the beta version that we have for the EPOS. And we actually, Dimitri and I, on a live stream, made a transaction from one end of the world to the other, literally as far as you could possibly get from one another. And the transaction closed within seconds. And it was pretty awesome. And then another cool selling factor about that 1% fee, which brings me to my second point, is this may not be, a selling offer for all merchants, but knowing that of that 1% fee, that 20% of it goes directly back to the community is pretty awesome. And I think for if I happened to be a merchant, I don't know, I care about people, knowing that, not all of that fee is going back to rich people on their ivory tower. I think that'd be pretty awesome. So yeah, maybe I'll just leave it at that here for now.
Perfect. Absolutely amazing. I truly appreciate the feedback here. Definitely something that, adds up. And of course, is something that is both convenient as well as encouraging. So thank you very much. Appreciate you both. And I was just wondering, and this is something that I kind of, throughout the feedback from the answers that you provided here, that I kind of think that I already got the answer to it, but just for clarity, I figured that we also do an add-on to this. So, as we were talking about merchants and how they can use this to their advantage, if we're talking about specifically onboarding them, right? No, actually, I can just provide you an example. It's still going to be onboarding, but let's say that I am a retailer and I sell physical goods, for example, and I would like to integrate this into my system. So as far as you already mentioned regarding the Softnote EPOS, there's already up and running, already available. I would assume, just speculating here, of course, if I would like to do so, I don't have to necessarily go through, for you guys, for the team, I can just do so independently. But still brings me to the question if my speculation is correct, or if it's something where you would, let's say, as you're doing the onboarding for the merchants, that you would kind of help them set it up, or you can do so on your own with not necessarily going for third parties, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. Well, in that case, it's even simpler than you thought. All you do is literally download the Android app, you enter your merchant name, and well, you're practically ready to take payments. Obviously, to withdraw funds, right, you need to connect your Softnote wallet. That's in the first version. Then later on, you'll be able to connect your other external wallets. If, for example, you have a Phantom wallet, Trust wallet, any of those. But for now, it's only the Softnote wallet. So as a merchant, all you need to do is to download the app, register, and this is it. You're good to go. It's as simple, really. Obviously, if you're looking to further collaborate with the team, if you're looking to maybe perhaps maybe negotiate, or whatever there is, maybe there's a lot of revenue you're making, and this is something we can be interested at as well. You're more than welcome to text us. But as of right now, if you're a merchant, you just open the website, download the file, register, good to go, ready to accept payments. It's as simple, really.
Awesome. Perfect. And sorry for cutting you off there for a second. I did mute my mic after it. I just wanted to, essentially comment the same thing that you said, just as simple as possible, which I truly appreciate it. This is something that, just goes to show regarding the statistics that I did mention. It makes perfect sense why so many users are already using it up until today, right? So that is amazing. Thank you very much for the added feedback, added information on this. Now, one thing that I also wanted to have a discussion about, and this is something, as both of you probably noticed throughout this AMA, I usually tend to do a lot of research. But if we're talking about specifically using products and utilities that you have available, I usually just not like to try it out for myself, because it's just kind of, leaves me more questions, and I'm wondering some things that I can actually then ask live. So yeah, perfect. Thank you very much. And as we are transitioning into of course, the other product, which once again goes hand in hand with the previous one, so Softnote, obviously we then have the Softnote wallet app. With this, I'm just kind of wondering, considering we already kind of started talking about the fact on its role, but I think it definitely deserves its own spot to do an entire rundown, right? Considering that it's also as an app, you can also use it to, of course, store cryptocurrency, Web3 assets. So it brings me to the question, if, and this is something for the community, if you guys are interested, I'm also going to send over links, something that's already on the sale link, if you would like to try it out for yourself as far as the wallet goes, but I'm still going to send over the links just for your convenience here. But yeah, a question for the both of you. As we're talking about this wallet app, if there is, let's say, some, because I know there's a lot of unique features, right? But some of the unique features that you guys truly, truly appreciate and you would like to do an entire rundown for the community, well, as well as myself here, feel free to do so, because I'm more than curious about that as well.
Well, I should definitely, in that case, I should definitely mention the ability to actually print crypto with a physical soft notes. I know it may sound a bit futuristic or like nonsense, but no. You see, when we were trying to market a Softnote wallet, when we were trying to market our technologies, we realized that one of the main factors that we face is that it's quite difficult to explain what is crypto to someone that, someone that hasn't even used the internet banking, someone that only prefers cash. And this is why our founder, Alex Gusev, he came up with this idea that, perhaps you can print that crypto out. And the way it works, realistically and practically, is that you print out not the Bitcoin itself, but you rather print out the what's the word? Sorry, you print out the ownership to that, a bill of that ownership to someone. So let's say you printed out 5 Bitcoins on a soft note. So realistically, you printed out that an ownership of those 5 Bitcoins. And once someone claims it, entering the serial number, the unique passcode that changes every single time, he claims that ownership back. So it's not that you're making that entire transaction through the entire, Bitcoin blockchain. No, all you're doing is taking over the ownership of that single bill, of that single transaction, if that makes sense. And I say this is something that definitely puts us in a spotlight among other crypto products, is that we are not only trying to appeal to Web3 people, but we're also trying to engage Web2 people that hasn't even used internet banking, for example. That physical Web3 is also possible. Physical Web3 is also realistic, and guys, this is how we do it.
Awesome, perfect. Thank you very much, Dimitri. And Trav, before I continue, if you have anything to add on, feel free to do so. Don't want to cut you off here.
No worries at all. No, yeah, I'll just share one of my favorite features, and actually, it's just you'll see I kind of touched on this on a video that we're actually going to be launching pretty soon here. We're talking about kind of the full circle of crypto transactions. So it's not really one feature; it's like a conglomeration of a whole bunch of features. I just really appreciate the fact that now on the Softnote wallet, you can onboard, you can like get fiat to crypto. You can take that fiat crypto, you can swap it, you can take that crypto that you've then swapped, and then you can send it, whether it's through a soft note, whether it's through EPOS, and then you can offboard the crypto from the blockchain as well back into fiat, which is all pretty freaking awesome. So like the whole circle of crypto in crypto transactions is now available here as well. So, and yeah, there's that point that Dimitri made here as well about actually printing off the physical soft note. Yeah, I just wanted to emphasize that one more time here. And especially when we're talking about onboarding new users into crypto, having that tangible bill that you can show someone like, here is crypto, here's actual money. This is not just magical internet money anymore. This is an actual physical tangible bill that I am giving to you. Now you have ownership of this money, just like doing a regular dollar bill would, how would kind of elicit that response. That's exactly what we're trying to do here now as well. And it looks awesome. And honestly, one of my first AMAs with Alex Gusev, the CEO and founder of Tectum, he was just getting ready for, I think it was Token 2049, a year ago, I believe it was. And he asked me if I'd seen a physical soft note before, and I said no. And he left the camera, came back on, and he had a stack full of actual physical soft notes. And it looked really cool. Some of them were USDT, some of them were actual Bitcoin. Now we have a whole bunch of other different tokens as well that you can fill onto a minted soft note. And it's a very practical, tangible way to actually, try and almost convince a new user that crypto is safe, crypto is here, and crypto is actually usable in the real world. Back at you there, Rainlands.
Awesome. Now, just a little bit of my feedback here. I think that both of you touched upon a really, really important point, especially, Trav, as you mentioned, as we were talking about, let's say, onboarding Web 2 users to Web 3. Yeah, it's a lot of them, if they just, I don't know, let's say they heard about BTC or just crypto in general, they tend to just think that it is magical internet money, which is, at the end of the day, either not real or it does not offer the, let's say, the amount that it's supposed to, right? So this is definitely something that we should be talking about here today, and I truly appreciate you guys providing feedback on this as well. So thank you very much. Now, in order for us to continue, of course, we're gonna move on to the bread and butter, considering that the sale is going to be approaching tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC. But honestly speaking, I kind of feel guilty to even say the bread and butter, considering all of the amazing products and utilities that you're offering here. But yeah, you get the gist of it here. So if we start talking about specifically the TCT, I wanted to say TCT token, but that would be tokens said twice. So the TCT for the sale tomorrow as well. One thing that I also did want to mention here with the introduction that both of you gave on today's session, I did just want to mention that you also did a phenomenal job for any users that would perhaps, I don't know, be curious to know why there's a second token, the role of it, something that you perfectly mentioned, let's say the differences, why there was a need in you to introduce, let's say, the second token here. So once again, just a little bit of, I will call it, jog everyone's memory here. That token, the one that's already up and running. So the first one, the core purpose here being minting Softnote, and then you obviously have the second one, the sale. I know I mentioned this 5 or 6 times already. So the sale on GemPad happening tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC. The core purpose being Tectum governance here. But again, not limited to only this. This is something we're going to be progressing into now. So Trav, I'm going to hand over the microphone to you first for this one, because wanted to mention the video that you guys have on the sale, right? I think it's around 4 minutes long, if I do remember correctly. Now that is, in those 4 minutes, you basically get all the useful information on what TCT actually offers you, the holder, which is perfect. I just played that like 2 or 3 times, and I'm like, this is very simple, but just so I remember everything that I would like to ask here on today's session, right? So absolutely phenomenal. So why I wanted to hand over the microphone to you is because clearly you know everything about it, right? And not to say that, Dimitri, you don't, but just going to put Trav on the hot seat here today for this question. So first and foremost, I know that one of the benefits that you mentioned on specifically the video is NFTs, right? So for this, just curious to know if we're talking about Tectum having their very own NFT. So let's say you rolling out your very own collection, or if we're more so, and I think this kind of fits into the ecosystem better, but still going to ask. So the second option, which I assume would just be, considering we were talking about the Softnote and, essentially partnering up with merchants, I suppose that NFTs could be a great way for, let's say, creators to be on board with Tectum so they could offer their NFTs for your TCT holders. But again, curious to know more.
Oh my goodness. Of all the features, this is actually the one that I know the least about. No less excited here. From what I understand, it's more likely leaning towards the one where other projects can then have their NFTs available. I have not heard any word of Tectum actually launching their own NFT. Maybe I'll ask you there, Dimitri. Have you heard anything specifically about that? Any alpha that we could drop?
Not as of yet. Right now, but I know for sure that in the future, at least not in this current development, but in the future, the NFTs are definitely coming back in our ecosystem, and it will be the most, well, I don't want to say the most reliable, but the most practical NFTs. Because obviously, as some of our followers know already, currently we are working on deploying the 4.1 blockchain to the mainnet, and it is soon to be deployed, well, approximately this week, as well as we have the staking function pretty much ready. So these are our main focuses, as well as the the code pay, which takes a lot of effort, a lot of time, and a lot of depth to work on. And all I know is that NFTs are the next in the line after we do the 4.1, after we do the staking from TED to TCT, and after we finish off the code pay. The NFTs are definitely coming over back to Tectum, and it will definitely be integrated within the whole, well, I don't want to say new, but the whole developed TCT ecosystem, which once again will include the DYOR functions, the DeFi functions, such as the lending and borrowing, and, well, NFT itself.
Perfect. Now, sorry for putting the both of you on the spot here. Definitely something that we're going to be keeping our eyes peeled then for, well, let's say further alpha info here. Much appreciated. Now, I think that a perfect way for us to continue is just a little bit more information on the staking pool, right? Considering you already started to talk about it. And, well, one thing is obviously I already have the info on it because you guys mentioned it on the last AMA that we had with you, right? But of course, for our community members here that would perhaps be interested to contribute to the sale and of course becoming TCT holders as well, for the sake of course, taking their tokens for a little bit of that passive income here. Now we know, well, I know here that you're going to have multiple pools, right? To just cater to all types of investors here. So if you don't mind, for the community members that are, of course, joined and tuning in to today's session, if you can just do a little bit of a rundown on how you're approaching this with multiple pools and, of course, lockup periods and whatnot, anything that you can already share, of course.
All right, that one I can absolutely respond to here. And absolutely, no, hold my feet to the fire, my friend. That's why I'm here. I love to be challenged, and I love to be able to represent Tectum in the best way I possibly can here. So when it comes down to the staking pools and the staking periods, there are three options. There's the 3-month, the 6-month, and the 12-month options for staking periods of time, rather. And the returns, the actual staking rewards that you get in kind of the same ascending order are: for 3 months, you get 15% return. For 6 months, you get 20%, and then the 12-month is 25%. And correct me if I'm wrong, Dimitri, but I believe the rewards are in TET, I believe. I don't have the documentation up in front of me, but maybe you can just let me know if that's correct.
No, Trav, the rewards are in TCT, in fact.
So
the way it's designed to work is that, we understand that the launching second token can be quite a bit of pressure on the investors, right? And it's completely understandable, it's respectable. So this is why we slightly changed areas for staking. So for example, if someone owns TED right now, right, and obviously he sees that second token is set to launch, and obviously it gives some doubt to them. We understand that's completely natural, completely normal. And for that sake, we are launching staking in the sense that people will be able to stake the TETs, the old, well, not the old, but the initial gas fee token. And as a reward, they will receive TCTs. So in that order, if, for example, you're the investor, if you're holding TET and if you're feeling some doubt about TET, instead of selling, you're offering people an option to stake it. So if someone has staked TET, logically enough, it takes out that TET of the market, of the liquidity, right? And that's why the TET price will also rise. And so if someone has staked TET for 6 months, he receives that percentage in TCT. And as I said already, the TET price rose as well, because that TET was taken out of the market, out of the liquidity. So this is the way staking is going to work.
And then
awesome.
Just add
sorry,
on to that.
Go for it. Sorry.
No worries. Appreciate the clarification there, Dimitri here. And then, of course, just as a quick reminder, is when you do get that reward of TCT, you are also then available to receive some of the revenue share from that 1% merchant fee as well, the 20% of the 1% here. So the gifts just keep on coming. Back at you there, Rainlands.
Perfect. Thank you very much to the both of you. Greatly appreciate it. Now, just 2 more things that I wanted to talk about here. We're going to try to be as quick as possible just so we can cover some of the community questions on today's session as well. But yeah, I just wanted to say, just going to take a moment for a breather, let's say, just that so far it has been absolutely phenomenal. It's something that I already knew was going to be phenomenal considering the last session that we had, but you two are absolutely phenomenal on the microphone and providing all the relevant information here. And just, no better place to be. An absolutely awesome discussion here as well. So greatly appreciate you both. Now, for us to continue the discussion here, if we start to talk about, let's say, more specifics regarding the main purpose, so obviously the governance, let's say the voting system, right? So I think it makes perfect sense considering all the products, everything that you have available, everything that's going to be available in the future as well. And it's definitely something that, holders and interested individuals that would like to also have a say, maybe offer their opinion, what they would, let's say, think makes perfect sense here, is absolutely something that is needed, something that's going to, of course, encourage them to become token holders as well. So many things to vote upon, so many things to even make your own proposals if you see a perfect fit for maybe a new feature, something that you would like to tweak, So yeah, to just not get carried away here. absolutely something that's needed. And what I would like to ask you as far as the governance mechanism goes, once we start to talk about the voting and whatnot, right? Just if the requirements are already set in stone here and how this is going to work. So, at the end of the day, I think that it's something that participants, everyone that would fulfill the requirements that, I would like to get the information on. I'm also curious to know if my speculation on, either making proposals or having the ability to vote on the proposals that maybe you and the rest of the team would make, if this is something that, let's say, the sky is the limit or something that you would only offer as far as the voting goes for a specific product or maybe a specific feature, if that makes sense.
Oops, apologies. Absolutely just fumbled through my microphone there. If you guys haven't heard already, I've got my dog here right now, and he's definitely being a little rambunctious here. And I'm so sorry to have to ask you this, Raylands. Can you please repeat the question for me one more time? I hate doing this.
No problem at all. So as far as the governance aspect goes, right, if we start to talk about, let's say, voting or making proposals, I'm just curious to know, it's kind of like a two-part question, right? And I do apologize because I know I tend to ramble on for like 5 minutes before I even get to the question here. But yeah, to help keep it as simple as possible, just wondering on the requirements here, if everyone that's going to be a holder is going to be eligible, if there's any other requirements. And as far as, let's say, making proposals or maybe having the ability to vote on them, if this is something that the sky is the limit or something that you would only make for maybe one product, one feature, I think it makes sense for all the products, everything that you have available. But again, just going to ask you to not speculate.
100%. No, I think the way that I'll frame my response to you is we're absolutely still like finalizing kind of the details on how that process is going to work. But I can tell you what the main goal is. So we've been building now in this space for 5+ years, and our community's been standing beside or behind us the entire time. And, we know there's a lot of stigma when it comes to governance votes. They're just there as like trying to be like a green flag, like a marketing ploy to actually just convince people to buy a token. The goal here with this governance play is to actually, it's still part of the, actually wanting to thank our community for spending all of their time with us, for having that faith in us. And the type of votes that we want to have are ones that will actually make a difference, that will actually benefit from having the community's input on to actually change the direction of the company. I know, especially in terms of like decentralization and different topics like that, this is a core value for us, and we know that it's a core value for our community as well. So we actually want to have votes that will actually, help preserve that decentralization, give our community a voice. And the last point that I want to make as well is that we want to make it so that it's actually fair, so that even if you have 1 TCT versus 100,000 TCT, we want to make it so that your vote will actually count no matter how much you have here. So I know once we do actually have the final kind of plan of action and how that's going to go down, we will absolutely share that. I believe the goal was around Q1. Don't quote me on that here. Just retrieving that from different conversations that I've had with teams here. But yeah, I'm hoping that answer will kind of satisfy that question. Dimitri, if you have anything else,
I can help you a bit on that, Trav. So I think it's important to actually come back to the whole topic of why we're even introducing the DAO voting, right? Well, first of all, we understood that as it is right now in Web3, unfortunately, if you're not aware, you practically have no voice, you have nothing. And moreover, we obviously wanted to reward the active users, not just the people that only bought a few years ago and keep on holding, hoping that the price will rise or whatever. They're not really using that utility. Utility is the key word in that sense, utility token. So this is why we introduced the DAO voting system, is that the active users will be able to vote on the important questions and proposals from both the company and the community itself. In fact, users will be able to launch their own votes. Users will be able to fill in that pool of voting that is required, right? For that sake, our system basically requires DCT. You see, unfortunately, TED smart contract doesn't allow it to be changed. So this is why second token was also introduced, for the sake of actually having a fully functional ecosystem, for the sake of having a fully functional Web3 ecosystem. for, well, the community itself, because we don't want to reward just the whales. We want to reward active users. We want people to have a voice, because obviously you see, you have those, and you, as in us, everyone in Web3, we have those endless Telegram chats, Twitter AMAs, Telegram AMAs, and people quite often, they ask questions, they criticize something, they propose something. Okay, this is fine, but you see, the main issue is that someone brought that topic once, and you see, unfortunately, that topic is often forgotten about. This is why we wanted something to be on paper, something to be, well, in that case, on the website. In that sense, it is only logical that we concluded that the DAO system of voting is required. The DAO system is something maybe not totally fair, but it is definitely a step in the correct direction.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Trev. Thank you very much, Dimitri. I greatly appreciate the fact not only on the requirements that Trev started with, but also, once again, touching upon and even providing further information on why this was needed and basically the role in the ecosystem. So thank you very much. You two have been absolutely fantastic. Now we're going to continue with some of the community questions here as well, just so we can cover the majority of the ground. So you guys know how this goes. Rayhan, you're going to be the first community question today, so you're going to be on the hot. Okay, I shut up for a second there. Trev and Dimitri, can you guys hear me now?
You got some lag, but yeah, it's fine, happens.
I hope it's going to be fine. Because I was just,
it's better now. It's better.
Okay, awesome, perfect. Yeah, I was just trying to introduce our hot seat, which is, the first community question. And as I was doing so, I just saw Telegram buffering, connecting. I was like, oh no. Okay, but yeah, regardless of that, everything seems to be up and running now. So you guys know how this goes. Rayhan, you're going to be the first community question today. So therefore, you're on the hot seat. Better make your questions count. Better make them great ones. Hopefully you're having an awesome day so far. And the floor is all yours. Welcome.
Oh, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, my friend.
Okay, bro. Thanks for the opportunity after a long time.
We can barely hear you. You're sounding a little bit muffled here.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. Loud and clear. Welcome.
Okay, so I wanted to know that in the website there was mentioned the proof of utility consensus mechanism and how it does differ from a more common mechanism like a proof of stake or proof of work.
I guess I can answer that question. That's a great question, Rayhan, first of all, because you see many people asking that question about the proof of utility and how exactly does it differ. Well, first of all, you should understand, Rayhan, that the proof of utility is not the end game mechanism, right? We're currently developing the proof of utility mechanism, and moreover, we are switching away from it in the 4.1 decentralized blockchain. But as of right now, the way proof of utility was working, is that it was basically rewarding the most impactful node holders. So it wasn't rewarding just for the sake of that process was completed. No, the proof of utility was working on the basis of how effective that node was, right? How effective its hardware was. So this is why with that approach we were eliminating the ineffective nodes, and practically we were also eliminating the traffic that those nodes were creating, and therefore were slowing down. So this is why the proof of utility is all about scalability, it's all about speeds, because it only selected the most effective nodes, the most effective hardware, the most effective users, and well, you see the fastest ones too. So I would say, if we were to make an analogy to this, right, the traditional mechanisms are working on the based on the amount of laps that specific hardware run. The proof of utility is working based on the amount of how many times you were first in those laps. So this is the main difference of how effective you were, how successful you were. But that's a great question, nevertheless. Thank you.
Yeah, dead air. So I'll just jump in and say,
Grain ones is having some issues, I feel like.
Ray, I saw that Rayhan wanted to say something, but I don't think his microphone is working here. So yeah, I think Dimitri, you definitely answered the question here. So thank you very much for that, as well as the question, Rayhan. And we're gonna keep on moving to Glover. So Glover, you are up next. Hopefully you have an awesome day so far as well. Floor is all yours, man. Welcome.
Hi, Rainlands. Thank you so much. I hope each and every one of you is having a lovely day so far.
For sure, Glover, and I definitely appreciate you bringing the energy on today's session. So go for your questions.
Thank you so much. I was just going through, and I noticed that Tectum is known for extremely high TPS, but scalability often creates trade-offs. So basically, what specific mechanisms ensures you guys are able to maintain both speed and security, especially as usage grows?
Thank you very much for this question. Well, that's a very similar question to what Rehan was asking, but nevertheless, yes, you see maybe some, I missed out on the point that, well, it sounds rude. I didn't mean to. Basically, the thing is, every single time when I'm explaining the tech, I can get off the line, I may not be as effective in explaining the tech as a founder, but nevertheless, you see, the way proof of utility is functioning is that you have a base node, you have the keynote, I believe it's called, and you have the archivator node. So those are the three layers that allowed our system to function. And because there were a few steps into make that system function, this is how this entire scalability is ensured. And obviously, you see, having that 3.2 million TPS in the lab, it may differ from the real world examples, right? But then I feel like what really matters is not the speed itself, right? The speed does matter, of course. The scalability does matter, which is very similar, of course. But what really matters, at least in my opinion, is how predictable that blockchain is. And by predictability, I mean how predictable are the fees. So, for example, in our system, the fee is always less than 0.1% of the current TED price. So this is the current the fee, and this is how it will always be. So therefore, before making any transaction, by just checking out the gas fee price, you can see how much it's going to cost, and therefore you're less likely to have spikes such as, for example, Solana. Right? I don't want to talk bad about Solana, but we all saw what happened, when, for example, Trump coin came out, right? First of all, the blockchain itself was clogged, but okay, fine, it's all about the scalability, whatever. But the second, and I feel like the most important problem that we saw while having that meme coin launch is that the fees, they just rose to the sky. They just rocketed way up to the sky, and it was simply inadequate, right? And I believe Tectum, by introducing the fixed fee system, well, kind of fixed fee system, to be honest, is actually responding directly to those traditional blockchains whose fee only depends on the conjunction of the network. We believe it is important to have a predictable fee system, and it is highly important for users to know that exact fee before they're making the entire transaction, before they even log into their wallet. Thank you. It's a great question.
Do you guys mind if I add one more thing to that?
Yeah, okay, so sure.
Yeah, just in terms of the actual security component of your question there, what I really appreciate about the kind of the Softnote ecosystem and the Tectum ecosystem is that so many of these transactions can happen off chain. Like when you're actually transferring the crypto from one person to another, you can either actually hand them or mail them the physical Softnote bill. You can write down the PIN and the passkey on a piece of paper, hand it to them that way. But we also, I don't think we really touched on this one yet. We have the cold pay function right now, which doesn't require any type of internet connection, where we take advantage of the Bluetooth low energy technology, where even if you're on a plane with no internet, you can still make a crypto transaction from one person to another. So I think that's kind of another part of this puzzle, is that just by having so many of these different methods to transfer tokens from one person to another off chain is also going to help kind of mitigate the high traffic scenarios And just to kind of really gain some perspective here, with a TPS of 3.5 million per second, having that initial massive buffer of speed of transactions that could happen in any one moment, I think really sets us up for success as well. Back at you,
right, thank you very
really
much.
appreciate your question.
Yeah.
Okay, if I thought that he had something more to add. So Glover, thank you very much. And of course, thank you, Trav and Dimitri, for the answer here. Just going to ask you two, are you good to go for two more questions, or do you prefer one? If you have the time, we can do two.
Absolutely good to go for two more questions. Maybe even
Good
five.
to go for two.
It's up to you.
Perfect. Sure. Awesome. Amazing. Okay, so we're going to keep it moving here. Mika, so you're going to be next up on the floor. So hopefully you're having an awesome day so far as well. And the floor is all yours. Welcome.
Inlands, just doing great, brother.
Absolutely. As per usual. How about yourself?
Also doing fantastic. Hey, I've known the Tectum team for a while. You guys I think you guys are one of the only chains, the top 10 chains that have these, remarkable speeds. But, I was kind of surprised when I saw that it was Tectum Cash. So the question I wanted asking that you guys are running like a pre-seed, and based on that speed, I saw that you guys are hashing the entire blocks. And if my math is correct, it does take some compute power to hash the sub blocks themselves, but hashing entire blocks also takes significant compute power. How do you guys do this to ensure that the end to end stays as safe and secure as if it was hashed individually? Let me know if you get the question.
Yeah, I get it. It's absolutely great. Another technical question. We see the difference between Tectum and other blockchains is that our blocks are designed slightly differently. Our blocks are much lighter and much simpler in that case. So this is why it will be very incorrect, I would say, to compare, let's say, Tectum blocks to, Bitcoin blocks, to Ethereum blocks, right? Because those are two completely, in that case, three completely different textures, three completely different mechanisms and technologies. Tectum blocks are designed specifically for the initial design that it was designed for. I know it maybe doesn't make much sense, but basically what I'm trying to say is that the Tectum blocks, the Tectum system was designed specifically for the way our blockchain functions, right? So this is why, for example, when we are developing, currently we are on the final stages of upgrading our decentralized 4.1 network, is that it does take us a lot of time to even make a slightest upgrade to increase that scalability, to make sure it is completely stable, to make sure it is completely functional, as opposed to someone like Ethereum who just rolls out the update and everything is working fine with them. Our system is much more complex, and of course this is a great feature, right? That our system is complex, our system is different, but it is also a massive con in that case, is that for us to make even the slightest change in our system, in our blockchain, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort, right? As for example, you see, we tried to do the 4.0 initial upgrade back in February, I believe, right? We realized that, somehow it wasn't really stable, let's be honest. And this is why we realized that the 4.1 must come straight after it. And it's been 6-9 months, and we are just on the final stages of deploying this. And in my opinion, it is a lot of time. But at the same time, it is highly effective blockchain in itself. And this is why our blocks are lighter. Our blocks are very different from the traditional conventional blockchains as you see on the rest. But you see, sorry, once again, in my opinion, in my personal opinion, not even the team's opinion, but in my personal opinion, the speeds, yes, they do matter, but not really as far as you have the entire ecosystem function. Because from one perspective, it is important to have those speeds, ready on to be deployed, ready on to take on the crown. But if you do not have the entire ecosystem built up, if your entire ecosystem is not up to scratch, right? What's the point of having those speeds if it's just the blockchain itself, right? This is why we have the wallet, the Softnote wallet itself. This is why we have those physical Softnotes. This is why we have the EPOS, why we're developing the CodePay, is to make sure that our ecosystem interacts just well enough to make everything work, to make sure that crypto is actually practical, that people are able to pay and use their crypto. Thank you.
That's kind of impressive, and I was actually expecting the answer in this range, because normally in software design you can never really anticipate every single thing that's going to happen. And it's really good, the method you guys are using to build and run the upgrades based on the feedback gotten. You guys have come so far, and I believe you guys will go really far. I wish you guys the best, and I really hope that Tectum stays bullish forward. Thanks a lot for the insight shared. Over to you, Rainlands.
Mikasa, my friend,
thank you for the question. First of all,
yeah, that was awesome, and I really appreciate the compassionate response here as well to that. That's super cool. You're awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, I just wanted to say the same thing. So Mikasa, thank you very much for, of course, joining and for the awesome question here. And we're going to keep on moving to the last community question. Suji, you're going to be on the second and, of course, the last hot seat here. So you know how this goes. Better make your questions count. Better make them great ones. Hope you're having an awesome day so far. And hit us with the questions. Floor is all yours. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, Renlands. No pressure.
There is a lot of pressure.
Hey, Trav. Hey, Dimitris. First of all, it's very heartening to see a project that launched sometime in the bear market, and then for that project to survive and still building and being active a couple of years later. I don't know exactly when it was that I first spoke with you guys. I'm not sure if it was exactly yourselves, but somebody from Tectum when the project had launched in one of the AMAs, and I was very impressed back then with the TPS and the Softnote and everything that you had presented back then, and just the fact that you're still building on it is amazing. My question is, I think you've covered most of the stuff with the TPS and stuff, which I also had a question with, but I'm going to skip on that. My question is regarding the validation mechanism, right? So I was reading through the white paper, and I see you have your basic nodes, you have the node validators, and then you also have the node archivers. Now people who are staking the TET tokens are able to host the node validators, I believe, on their own compute resources. And then it says currently, while it's not available, eventually the node archivers will be picked from the node validators based on a ranking system. I just wanted to know if this is something that is currently in place. Like, do we have node archivers that users are actually running, or is it all project owned at the moment?
I can answer this question. That's a great question, because recently I've been also researching that part, and I've realized that answer is much simpler than I ever thought it will be. You see, the node archivers are basically highly reputable node validators, right? But you see, in order to build that reputation for the validators, transactions must happen, right? And let's be fair, sometimes it can be quite difficult to make the blockchain active. It is active, right? It is live, it is on, but the way it works is that for the node validators to gain that reputation, it must take some time, right? And even with that 4.1 upgrade into the mainnet, right, you kind of stopped every transaction. Yes, you can still become a node validator if you run the node from GitHub, right? But it's not really in 4.1 yet. It's in 4.0. There's a massive difference between those two updates. So this is why archiving is not yet available for the users, simply because they were unable to build that reputation yet. We are actually expecting for the 4.1 update to go live, hopefully within this week. Like, no promises, but hopefully within this week, right? And from that moment on, people will be able to actually build their reputation. People will be actually able to participate directly within our blockchain ecosystem, and therefore, as a result, become archivers later on. I cannot give you the estimates on how much reputation must be built, how much, for how long you must hold that node to become an archiver. But I know for sure is that the blockchain activity will rise once we launch the 4.1 update, and it will be much faster and easier to become the archiver as opposed to how it is now. Because you see, another reason why we are rolling out that 4.1 update is that we realize that it is quite difficult for people to gain that specific reputation to become the archiver. We realize that some stuff must be slightly simplified on the back end, and this is why the 4.1 blockchain, which will go into mainnet hopefully once again this week, is slightly, well, I cannot say remade, right? But it is slightly adjusted in the way that people with the most efficient hardware, with the top-notch hardware, will become archivers, not instantly, but much, much faster than how it was, well, how it is right now. Thank you.
Got it. Yeah, so I think you answered the second part of my question too, which is how do you build a reputation? So it's going to be based on your uptime, the amount of transactions that you've processed,
and also the amount of transactions. Yes. Exactly. Yeah, much simpler. You see uptime, amount of transactions, and well, we see just how your system works, how effective you were in those transactions.
Right.
Basically. Yeah.
Right. So, final question as a user here: how much bigger are my rewards going to be if I go from a validator to an archiver?
I'll be honest, I cannot give you the specific number, but I believe it is the substantial amount, but obviously within the reasonable difference for people to actually hold the notes as they validate to further on become the archiver. So you see the upgrade, if that's the word, right? The upgrade of rewards is there, right? But then it is yet still incentive enough to hold it as a validator, even though you're not selected yet as the archiver. But it's very difficult to it's very difficult to explain. There's a balance between how much the reward difference is, and whether it's even worth to become the validator in the first place, and maybe you never become the archiver for whatever reason there is. Yeah. So there's a very tight and slight balance of how it is.
Right.
But yes,
I get it. I understand. It's not easy to just throw a number at it, and I wasn't expecting.
Well, yeah, exactly. I cannot just throw a number and so something doesn't check out. Oh God, you were wrong. You lied about it. But I cannot do this. I'm afraid.
Yeah. No, makes sense. That's fair enough. Well, thank you very much for the answers, and really all the best with all the future building and progress with Tectum and Tectum Cash.
Appreciate you taking the time there, Sujay.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rainlands.
Thank you very much, Sujay. What a way to end it all off here. So before we do so, once again, just going to drop the kind reminder for their sale on GemPad tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC. As per usual, you have the link on the AMA announcement if you are interested in contributing. And for any follow-up questions, any additional information that you need, do make sure to also join their Telegram just so the team can get you sorted ASAP before, once again, their sale starts tomorrow at 1 p.m. UTC. But yeah, before we close it off, before we end the recording here, Trav, Dimitri, both of you have been absolutely phenomenal. It has been a huge pleasure here, so thank you very much for taking your time of your busy schedule to, of course, be with the GemPad community. Best of luck for tomorrow. Has been truly, truly amazing. And just handing over the microphone to the both of you, if there's any, perhaps, let's say, closing thoughts, anything that you would like to put an emphasis on, and then we can end it. So thank you very much. It has been a pleasure.
Breaking, real quick. I'm just receiving a DM now from the team, and they gave me permission to leak one little bit of alpha here, and then one quick reminder to your community here. First of all, I've just been given permission to tease a little bit about our contacts in Nigeria and Georgia for Softnote adoption. So that is huge. I'll just sprinkle that little bit of excitement your way here. And then second, you can still actually buy TCT on sale from the Softnote wallet, the web app, however. So you guys, if you do feel like checking that out, you can still get it at a bit of a discount price compared to tomorrow when it is going up to the full price, if you will. And just to kind of offer some closing thoughts here to you guys. First of all, Rainlands, always an absolute pleasure to connect with you, my friend. Your abilities as a host is absolutely mind-blowing, and it's a pleasure to be here with you. And then to the community, guys, you brought the questions today. Really appreciate the insightful and real and honest questions here. Your reception for us in your community has been wonderful, and I would absolutely come back and spend a significant amount of time here with you. Just appreciate every single one of you. Let's freaking go, and talk to you guys next time.
Awesome. And Dimitri, before you have the microphone here, just wanted to say, Trav, thank you very much for dropping the alpha here. And I think that it's crazy, guys. Probably one of your community members. He just wrote, considering you now have the message option during an AMA, came here for Trav's voice. So, Trav, you're getting compliments after compliments.
Oh no, my ego doesn't need that. It's already swollen enough here. Let's tone that down. Oh, truly, guys, really appreciate you, and to be able to really.
Trav?
Hello, sorry. Yeah? I just got booted on Telegram.
Yeah, you broke up. There you go. Oh.
Should be fine now, I think, or maybe not.
All right, I'm not going to talk anymore because it keeps on booting me off. But I'll end it off by saying thank you, guys. Truly appreciate you.
Awesome, Trev. Thank you very much. Now, Dimitri, if you have any closing thoughts yourself as well, feel free to take it away.
Yeah, absolutely, Reynolds. First of all, thank you very much. You've been an absolutely great host, as Trev has mentioned already, and you have an even better community. Those questions have been mind-blowing, you see. I know the answers to those questions, but they really made me think of, are we doing things right? And well, the answer is yes. We know exactly what we're doing, and even with the launch in the second, the reward token, the TCT token, it may look controversial, it may look stressful for the TED holders, and especially if you look at the current markets, because let's be realistic, the current markets are probably in one of its worst conditions. But you see, just like TED has also been launched during the very similar markets, and just like TED, the TCT. We know what we exactly doing. We know why we're launching this token, and as opposed to TED, which 2 years ago had very little ecosystem, even a Softnote wallet was massively malfunctioning back then, right? Currently, at Tectum, we have an entire ecosystem built around the TED token and the TCT token. We have the Softnote wallet, we have the EPOS, we have the code point development, we have the physical softnotes. We have everything pretty much laid up for the company to fire up, to do very well. And despite any market conditions, I honestly believe what's more important than any market, than any bull run, than any or bear market, I honestly believe that having a strong team, having a strong project, and having the direct plan on how to succeed, those are the things that are more important than any market. Even though the skepticism is there and it's completely understandable, guys, I honestly know and believe that people that have been around us for years, they know that we are building. We never stopped. It is even for the crypto company, it's quite rare to stay around for more than a year, and we've been around for how many? 5 years. 2 years ago we launched the token, we're still around. So back then, without the token, we're still functioning, and well, I feel like this is the direct proof of our words. We know what we are doing, we keep on building, we keep on developing, and you see, we keep on pushing further on. As Trav said, there are some contacts in certain countries that hopefully will allow us to get onto those markets, to promote our products and, well, bring crypto to the streets, essentially, because this is the master plan. We're trying to make crypto spendable. Thank you, Raymond. Thank you, guys, the community.
Perfect. Dimitri, thank you very much for your closing thoughts as well. Once again, Trav, Dimitri, you have been absolutely phenomenal. Thank you very much. Wishing you the best of luck for the sale tomorrow, as well as for the launch of the token. It has been a pleasure, and to our community, thank you very much for tuning in. Thank you very much for the absolutely amazing questions as well, and we're going to catch you on the next one. Cheers.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you, guys.